Feliz Dia de los Muertos. Happy Day of the Dead. In 1997, I was living and performing in Mexico City, and I was introduced to this incredible holiday, this sacred, meaningful holiday that celebrates both life and death as a cycle. I had lived in Southern California all my life. I was very close to Mexico, and I had heard of Day of the Dead, but I thought it was a Mexican version of American Halloween. Oh my gosh, it is anything but. It is ritual and music and ceremony and tradition that takes place on November 1st and 2nd. So when I was living in Mexico City, I went to a town called Mixquic, and I was transported to another time and place. I felt that the ancestors were walking with us. And that is what happens on Dia de los Muertos. The ancestors come back to walk with us. And so we say to you, who do you walk for? Who do you walk with? This year I walk with several people. I always walk for my father, who passed in 2004. And this year I had other people pass as well. My dad is there at the top. Ben, Rand, Bev, Monique, and her daddy, Grandpère. These are the people who passed for me this year, and I walk for these people, and I celebrate their life and their death. So I went to Mixquic in Mexico, and I was transported. I went to the graveyard through layers and layers of marigold flowers, the flower of the dead. And I was walking and kicking up the marigold petals like magic. And I went into the graveyard, and it was filled with abuelas, grandmothers with their grandchildren, cleaning the graves in silence and picking petals off of flowers and putting them on the graves. An abuela at every gravestone with her grandchildren. And there was far away drumming in the town and incense. The entire cemetery was filled with incense. I get really emotional when I talk about it. It's a time that should bring emotions. It's a time for people to experience the emotions of the death and life. So if you have been through a year where you were very busy and you didn't have time to grieve for your loved ones who passed, you can grieve for them on November 1st and 2nd. November 1st is for the children and the infants, and November 2nd is for the adults, and you can make an altar for them. You can make an altar called an ofrenda, and on the altar you put their favorite food and their favorite drink, or a photo of them, flowers, things to represent the elements of the earth, the wind, the earth, the fire, the water. For the children you put sugar skulls, little candies and skulls that are smiling. The skull for Dia de los Muertos is not morbid, it is whimsical, and it is joyful, and it is fun. The marigolds line the paths to the homes so the ancestors can find their way home. And you light candles, and you leave the door of your home open with marigolds on the path to your home, and your dear ancestors come and celebrate with you. This celebration is over 3,000 years old. It is a mixture of Aztec, Toltec, Mayan, and Catholic. You will see mock funerals and smiling corpses, because death is not the end of a cycle. Death is in the natural, ongoing cycle of life. And originally, this holiday, this precious holiday, was celebrated for a goddess who died in childbirth, and if I can get her name correctly, for an American English speaker, it's not easy, but it is Mixquic. Mixquic is the goddess that the holiday originally was celebrated with as its hostess. This goddess was the hostess of Dia de los Muertos when it was more an Aztec tradition. So the butterflies, there is strong cultural tradition in the butterflies. The butterflies, the monarchs, the mariposas, come back to Mexico every single year like clockwork at the same time of Dia de los Muertos, November 1st and 2nd. I'm getting emotional about it. The butterflies come from over 2,000 miles in North America and Canada, and they come to a very specific area of Mexico. And it's like clockwork. They come to Michoacan, to specific trees, and it baffles scientists. Scientists cannot even figure out how the monarchs do this. And then they leave. So they're around from November to March, and then they leave. And when they fly back north, they deposit their eggs, and so their ancestors fly again. It's such an incredibly meaningful, significant holiday. Happy Dia de los Muertos. Thank you for being with me, and I'm Dondi. Bye-bye.